This is the Recruit the Employer podcast, and you're listening to episode 93, How to Land an Interview Through Networking. Welcome to the Recruit the Employer podcast, a show for the ambitious, action-oriented career woman who wants to live out her purpose, rise to the top of her industry, and be seen as a leader at work. In 30 minutes or less, we'll walk you through the latest strategies to land your dream job, blast through imposter syndrome, and make the money you deserve. I'm your host, Jena ex-Wall Streeter turned career coach and founder of Recruit the Employer. But more importantly, I'm on a mission to help you fall in love with your work again. So grab a glass of wine, get ready to be coached, and tune in to your weekly boost of career confidence. Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Recruit the Employer podcast. I'm your host, Jena Dune, and I am so excited to be with you today, talking with you a little bit about networking, one of my favorite conversation topics. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you know I love talking about networking. You know I love talking about how it's so much better than your resume. And we have a really special treat for you. So if you're a listener of this podcast, we have a special 5-day workshop that we are relaunching. We did it in January. It was such a success. We had such great feedback from people that have been through the workshop. It's a free 5-day workshop starting February 22nd. And it's called Network to Hire. And it's designed for somebody who wants to find a job through networking and is tired of applying online and not hearing back and getting really frustrated. I'm going to share with you the simplest strategy to land interviews, to meet real humans, and to land a new job. And so today I'm going to share with you kind of step one or day one of what that workshop is going to look like. And I'm going to share with you a little bit about what the workshop entails, what you can expect from each day, and why you should sign up. So before we get into that though, I want to share with you this week's work wins. So if you've been following along, you know during my solo episodes, I've been sharing the things that I'm excited about each week or things I'm proud of that I've been able to accomplish this week. And it's not just to brag or to pat myself on the back, but it's really for me to identify and to encourage you to identify what are the things that I accomplished this week. So often we get to the end of a week and we're like, I don't really know what I did. I think I sent a lot of emails. That was fun. Instead, I want you to think differently about your career and think of it at the end of a week as a reflection point for you to identify what did I accomplish? What am I proud of to set yourself up for success for the next week? So one of the things that I'm proud of this week is that we brought on a couple of new clients for the Recruit the Employer program again, which is super exciting. These are women who have said no to undervaluing their experience and said yes to investing in themselves. They are the women who realize that investing in themselves is one of the best things that they can do for themselves and for their career. And they're letting us help shepherd them through the process of not only finding a strategic career move, but just uncovering and understanding how to become more confident and showing up better at work. And so we're super excited about that. That was my work win. Anytime we bring somebody new into the Recruit the Employer program, that is my win for the week. I'm so excited to help shepherd those people along. So that's my work win for this week. I would love to hear from you on Instagram. So send me a DM or over on LinkedIn, send me a private message. Tell me what your work win was this past week. I haven't gotten any from anybody. And I know I look at our stats on Libsyn, which is where we house our podcast. I know y'all are listening to these episodes. So if you are listening to this and you have not sent me a work win, it's either because you haven't been doing the work and actually reflecting, or 2, you've been too embarrassed. So I don't want you to be embarrassed. Reach out to me and tell me, what is your work win? What are you proud of? What did you accomplish this week? And I will be cheering you along. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. For those of you that are, as always, if you've been enjoying these podcasts, let me know in the DMs. I always love hearing that personally, but also over in the reviews on iTunes. Every review that you give us, I have no shame asking for it, helps us rise to the ranks within the career sector and the podcast scene. And we just want more women to find out about this podcast, to start to be thinking differently about their career. So super exciting stuff. Now let's talk about how to land a job via networking, and specifically what we're going to cover in the Network to Hire. So if you're interested in this workshop and you're like, I've heard enough, Jena, already, you've hardly even started talking about it, I need to sign up. Where do I go? You go to recruittheemployer.com/workshop. It is completely free, y'all. completely free, no strings attached. We're going to share with you at the very end more about Recruit the Employer. If you're interested, it's a no pressure conversation at the very end, but it's 5 days of jam-packed information. We're going to be giving you templates and tools. It's going to be a blast. The people that were in it last time, as I mentioned before, were networking with one another. They were making connections with women in the group. They were going out and taking action, actually connecting with real people to eventually get interviews. So for those of you that know, you've heard me talk about this before, networking really is where it's at. You can't just apply online and hope something sticks to the wall. That's a really ineffective way to get your resume and your experience seen. Networking, this stat is really impressive. Networking alone is responsible for 85% of all jobs. I have said 70%. It's even better when we did an updated research on this more recently. 85% of all jobs are from networking. So stop tweaking your resume, y'all, and stop praying to the recruiting gods who are going to show you favor and hopefully get your resume picked out of the applicant tracking system. No, instead, you really need a strong networking strategy that's not only going to help you when you need a job, but help you throughout your entire career. So this workshop is going to be for you if you feel that your job search feels like a haphazard mess. Right? If you're like, gosh, Jena, my job search is all over the place. I have no structure to it. This is going to help you. If you are happy with your job, right? So maybe you're not in between jobs. Maybe you're thinking about maybe potentially in the future wanting to change jobs, but you're not ready right now. This is still going to be incredibly useful for you. And in fact, I think it's more useful for people who are not actively job searching because you're getting ahead and you're putting yourself out there before you actually need something. Now, if you are actively job seeking, this is also going to be for you because if you're tired of the bots telling you, you're not qualified, thanks for applying. Like if you're sick of that, which I think all of us are, right? Tired of seeing that, this is going to help you understand how to actually leverage networking for your advantage for the long term. And this is specifically for my women who are personal and professional development junkies, the women who love to invest in themselves, who want to spend time and really want to adopt a growth mindset around their careers and not live in scarcity. I think there's a lot of people right now who are living in scarcity in their careers, who are operating out of fear. And this is for my women who want to break through that, who don't want to operate out of fear, who want to develop their own personal and professional development, and for those women who are those self-proclaimed ambitious career women. I want to see you in this group. Generally speaking, we'd like you to be around the 100K earner mark. So some of you are like, Jena, that's so rude. Why would you only let people that are making around 100K into this? And the reason is I found that there's a lot of communities for people that are early in their careers. And there's a lot of people for, communities available for senior executives. And my people that are in the middle, my mid to senior level women, don't get a lot of loving. And so we'd like to, if you could self-select yourself out, if you're not making around $100,000, we would ask that you kind of wait until you get to that point in order to be a part of the program. Obviously, if you're making more than that, you're in the right place, but 100K is kind of that marker that we're using just so that we create an environment where the women that are in the program are around the same stage of their career that are in this workshop. And so today what we're going to be talking about is I'm going to give you a sneak peek at day one, which is the framework of successful networking. I'm going to be talking to you today very specifically about why applying online as the sole strategy doesn't work. We've kind of touched on that already, but I'm going to deep dive on that for you today. Then I'm going to share with you why networking is more effective. We've kind of talked about this too, but I want to just re-solidify and just to make sure y'all are hearing me, because I know a lot of you guys are maybe listened to the podcast, but maybe haven't acted upon it. Maybe because you don't know why or how. And that's where I want you to sign up for the workshop, recruittheemployer.com/workshop. It's going to help you actually figure that stuff out. It's taken straight from our Recruit the Employer program. And so you're actually getting this totally for free. And then what we're also going to talk about today is I'm going to briefly touch on, which we're going to dive deeper into this masterclass, into this workshop on, is the 4 steps to set yourself up for success in networking. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what the workshop is so you can decide for yourself, is this, a good use of my time? Over the course of the week of the 22nd of February, we are going to be live for about 50 minutes, about 45 minutes to an hour. I'm going to be short, quick, to the point. Y'all know I love to talk fast, but I'm going to jam pack it with information. You're going to have access to a private LinkedIn group if you join. You're also going to have access to workshops and clear action points for you to take every single day. So you guys know that I don't love that you just consume content. I want you to take action on it. And so we're going to use that in this workshop as well. So day one, we're going to talk about the framework for successful networking. So I'm going to talk about, why networking is important. We're going to revisit this conversation because I think a lot of y'all know that it's important, but haven't really acted on it. So we're going to talk about that. Day two, I'm going to share with you who to network. So one of the questions I get from a lot of people is, Jen, I know I need to network, but who do I reach out to? Like, I don't have a clue. Day three, we're going to talk about how to reach out without feeling sleazy. So this is people's favorite day because I gave you some templates. I give you some templates for you to actually use in your own career to then reach out to other individuals to customize for your own specific needs. But I give you some actual templates and some structure around what do you actually say when you're reaching out to somebody, whether you know them or you don't know them. Day four, we're going to share with you a little bit about what to say when you actually get on a call with somebody. So let's say, for instance, someone agrees to meet you for coffee or hops on a call with you. So we've, checked off success. Like, what do you actually say when you're on a networking call, right? What do you actually say? We're going to give you the structure to that conversation. I've done this a lot in my own past and helped other people also have really thoughtful conversations that is value add for both people on that call. And day five, so the Friday of the week of the 22nd, that's going to be the 26th. We're going to talk about how do you follow up with class? How do you keep those relationships going? And during day four, at the very end, we're going to share with you a little bit about the Recruit the Employer program. We're going to open up CART for you guys to potentially learn a little bit more about it. This is a no pressure environment, but I do want to be transparent that on day four, we're going to talk about Recruit the Employer, because if you've gotten a lot of value out of it, if you're realizing, gosh, I can't do this alone, this whole job search thing is so overwhelming, I'm losing my confidence, I don't know what to do next, we would love to share with you about how our program can help you get to the next level. So we will be sharing that. In addition, we're going to have a scholarship. So if you're a part of the program, you could actually get Recruit the Employer for free. Okay. You could actually get Recruit the Employer for free. So we're offering a free scholarship, a free membership to our 6-month programming. So that alone is such a reason to get into the workshop and to be active in it, because we're going to give it to somebody who is active within the group. So super excited about that. That's again happening February 22nd. To find out more details, go to recruittheemployer.com/workshop to sign up. I would love, love, love to see you there. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram or LinkedIn. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing on day one. So the framework for successful networking. So let's just shop a little bit. Let's just be honest. Why applying online doesn't work? You guys know it doesn't work, but you keep on doing it. It's kind of like insanity, right? Insanity, the definition of insanity is like doing the same thing over and over again and not having any results and just keeping on doing it over again. So a lot of you are living in insanity and job search insanity, and I want to help bring you out a little bit. All right. So here's a stat that I found on Glassdoor, and it said that on average, each corporate job offer attracts 250 resumes. That's on average. I've actually seen way more. I've had clients that have said they were applying online and it was like 2,000, right? The typical employer will then interview only 4 to 6 candidates out of those 250, and only one obviously will be successful. I mean, that is quite the law of, that's very rare, right? For that to happen. Basically, statistically speaking, that is really kind of like, gosh, they're really looking for only 4 to 6 candidates to interview. And so that's why when people get frustrated, they're like, why won't they even bring me in for an interview? It's because they got a lot of applications and yours wasn't differentiated enough. For whatever reason, no shame in that. And we help people in Recruit the Employer differentiate themselves. But that's why it can be really overwhelming and really frustrating, and why applying online alone solely does not work. What also is interesting is that recruiters, I was doing some research around what recruiters say about kind of the job search market, and a recruiter sentiment study, it was around 2017, so it was a little bit old, but I think this testament is still true, is they said the biggest issue that they have with talent acquisition is that there are too many unqualified junk resumes from job boards. All right. Too many unqualified junk resumes. So here's the deal. They don't really love the job boards. They don't really love the job boards because it's actually really frustrating because they get a lot of unqualified people, like truly unqualified people. And then from the ones that they do have that are semi-qualified, they're only going to be focusing on the ones that are actually going to, get in the door. So plus, a recruiter is only going to take about 6 seconds to review resume. This is why applying online doesn't work. The stats are just not in your favor. Recruiters don't really love the job boards because it's really overwhelming. So many people are applying for it. So statistically speaking, you're at a disadvantage. And when they do actually read your resume, they're going to look at it for 2 seconds, 6 seconds, but you get the idea, right? So this is why applying online doesn't work. And I'm going to share with you some stats then to show you why networking specifically is more effective. So JobVite actually said that referrals for a company, so this is a company stat, right? Referrals are 5 times more effective than all other sources of hiring. Recruiters like referrals because here's what that tells them. An internal referral specifically coming from somebody within an organization, that person has already been vetted. That person is culturally a good fit. And so the assumption is someone who's a culturally good fit that already has like, I know this person, you're more likely to hire that person because there's a connective thread there, right? It's similar to like when my husband and I got set up, I trusted the person to set me up well because I knew he was a good guy and he probably had really good friends. So I was willing to go out with this person. I had basically a blind date with somebody I'd never met before because I trusted our mutual contact. The same thing happens in the job search process. All right. And here's another stat of why companies love this. 46% of employees hired through referral programs stay for 3 years or more. So not only is it a better, more effective source of hiring for recruiters and for hiring managers, those employees that get hired through that system are actually going to stay there longer. So it's going to cost the company less money. This is why companies love referrals. These referrals are also hired 55% faster than those that are hired through a career site. Have I convinced you that networking needs to be like your top priority right now? I know it feels like you're doing something when you're applying online, but the reality is networking is way more effective. The stats are showing it. We're going to deep dive on this in the workshop if you show up for it live. Networking is just much more effective. And it's a much better way. It feels more natural, actually, if you understand true networking, which in this workshop, we're going to help you understand. You know, it's really, really important to understand how to properly network. And when it's done right, it actually shows, statistically speaking, that it's more effective. But I think that we need to define what is networking. And I think a lot of people have a lot of different misconceptions and ideas of what networking is. So I'm just going to share with you some definitions from other people. And then I'm going to share our definition that we're going to use that you've heard me probably say before. And we're going to talk through in the workshop, throughout the workshop. But there was an author and his name's Keith Ferrazzi. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but he wrote the book Never Eat Alone. And his definition of networking was real networking was about finding ways to make other people successful. It's pretty great, right? That doesn't make us feel like gross. With a lot of people are like, ooh, networking, that's such a gross word. But really with that definition, and that sounds pretty great, right? Margaret Wheatley said this. She said, relationships are all there is. Everything in the universe only exists because it is in relationship to everything else. Nothing exists in isolation. We have to stop pretending we are individuals that can go it alone. I don't know who this is for, but this is a word for a woman who's trying to go it alone. You're trying to do it all by yourself. You're trying to figure out this job search thing because you should be able to do it. Why is it easy for everybody else and not for you? That can be really lonely. That can be really frustrating. Networking is really about relationships. So here's our definition that we're going to be using throughout the course of the week. And if you join us for the workshop, the Network to Hire workshop, you're going to hear me say this a lot. But networking is mutually beneficial professional relationships developed over time. And we need to stop professionalizing also too much networking. So it doesn't have to be this formal, like I'm going to an event, this is now networking situation. You could be networking at the grocery store. You could be networking, on LinkedIn. You could be networking with your friends. Networking needs to become a way of life. And then it doesn't feel as sleazy. So that's what networking is. And what I'm going to share with you right now is kind of some steps that you need to be taking, steps that you need to be thinking about when thinking about networking. And I'm only going to touch on these because I want you to join the workshop. I want you to show up for yourself and invest the time, even if you're not investing the money, right? You're investing the time in your own professional development. So here's step 1 is mindset. No shocker, we're talking about mindset because there's a lot of lies you're believing about networking that's keeping you stuck and keeping you from effectively networking. So step 1 is getting your mind right. Step 2 is getting a strategy in place. The problem with most people with networking is they don't have a clear strategy. We're going to help you do that. Step 3 is around consistency. Okay. Networking cannot be a one-time thing. We are not like Hanson having a one-hit wonder, which by the way, my husband, when I said that on a podcast prior and used Hanson as a reference to a one-hit wonder, he said, you don't know Hanson. They have great music. So apparently they're not a one-hit wonder, but you get the gist, right? You need to be consistent with networking. It cannot be a one-time thing. So step 1 is mindset. Step 2 is strategy. Step 3 is consistency. And step 4 is building relationships, right? We have all had instances where we have felt used or taken advantage of in the professional world and probably personal too, right? So reciprocity is going to be key in building relationships. And we're going to teach you how to build that reciprocity, how to build rapport, and how to serve, even when you feel like you have nothing of value to add. So I would love to see you in Network to Hire. I would love to walk you through each of these steps. And I would love for you to say yes to your career so that you can land an interview through networking. Okay, guys? Again, if you want to join us, it's Network to Hire is the name of the workshop, but you can find and sign up for it at recruittheemployer.com/workshop. We would love to see you there so we can dive into all this information and help you see for yourself that, wow, I really need to network. I can network, and we're going to give you the pathway to do it. All right, guys, I will see you next week on the Recruit the Employer podcast, but I hope to see you on the 22nd in Network to Hire. Thanks for listening to the Recruit the Employer podcast. If you've been loving this podcast and it's been helping you approach your career in a brand new way, I have 2 shameless asks. Number 1, make sure you hit subscribe right this very second. That way you won't miss a single episode. And number 2, would you give us a review? Reviews help other ambitious career women like you know that this podcast is the place to be and helps the podcast climb to the top of the charts. Think of it as some good career karma. And as always, if you want to learn more about the topics we discussed today or are ready to take massive action and invest in yourself and your career, we would be honored to help you. Head on over to recruittheemployer.com/call to book your free strategy session. Regardless, we will see you next week.